When you think about Manchester United's vintage days, Ryan Giggs is one of the first names that pops up in your mind. The one-of-a-kind Welsh magician spent his whole playing career with the Red Devils, during good times and bad times, and is one of the most loved legends of the club. But how good was Ryan Giggs actually? Giggs was a very talented winger since his early days. As a kid, he was part of Manchester City's youth system and was playing for the local team Salford Boys, a team which he captained, and also won the Granada Schools Cup, being named as Man of the Match in the final. He would soon be noticed by Manchester United's scouts and was offered a trial in 1986. During that game, the 13-year-old scored 3 times, impressing none other than Sir Alex Ferguson, who was watching the game. On 29th of November, 1987, for his 14th birthday, Ferguson visited Giggs and offered him to join the Manchester United Youth Academy, and that moment would spark the beginning of a great relationship between the two. Sir Alex Ferguson had been appointed as manager in 1986, and in his early years, United weren't among the best teams in the league. Prior to Giggs's debut against Everton in the 2nd of March 1991, Manchester United had managed a single FA Cup and a second league finish in 1988, among the other mid-table ones. Giggs scored his first goal for the club in the derby against Manchester City in 4th of May of 1991, setting up himself as a future fan favorite. He was yet to become a part of the starting 11. However, later that year in October, he came on as a substitute in the 84th minute, making his debut for Wales, back then being the youngest ever to do so at just 17 years of age. Although in his next season, Giggs was a regular for the senior team, he was still involved with the youth system and was the captain of the famous U18 team that won the FA Youth Cup. Members of that team including Giggs, David Beckham, the Neville brothers, Paul Scholes, and Nicky Butt would all promote into the first team. They would be famously called the Class of '92, as their embarking into the senior team would start the revolution of the Red Devils in their new era of success under Sir Alex. That same year in the 91-92 season, United managed to finish second in the league, and Giggs won the PFA Young Player of the Year award for the first time in his career. Although they were close to the title and they managed a League Cup win, Manchester United needed to become stronger. With the launch of the Premier League and the signing of Eric Cantona, the Red Devils seemed more and more determined in the 1992-1993 season, in which they would manage to finally cling the league title after 26 years, with Giggs earning another PFA Young Player of the Year, being a key player into his team's success, with 9 goals and 5 assists in the league. In that historic moment, everything would change in English football and their dominance would start. In the next 5 seasons, Manchester United would win 3 more titles, and they finished 2 times as runners-up. And in the meantime, they also won 2 FA Cups and 4 English Super Cups, the competition which would later be renamed as Community Shield. Despite their domestic success, something was missing in Old Trafford, and that was European glory. Their last European Cup win dated as back as 1968, and in their recent years with Sir Alex in charge, they had only reached the semi-finals once, where they lost both legs against Borussia Dortmund. However, little did they know about what they would achieve in their 1998 to 1999 season. By this time, Giggs was one of the most important players of the team. He wasn't a youngster anymore, and his game had improved a lot during the years. Being one of the best wingers in the world, he was notorious for his speed and dribbling abilities, which caused fear upon defenders. And even though he wasn't a player that would be directly involved in goals too much, his ability to shift in wings, adapt, and create spaces and threats brought much fame to his game. The Red Devils had finished their previous season without any silverware, and back then, that was considered a big failure for those guys, who were always hungry for trophies. The 1998 to 1999 season would find the Red Devils champions of England once again. Even though they did not start the season in the best way possible, they would go on in an incredible unbeaten run from December to May, finishing top, 1 point ahead of Arsenal. Their rivalry with the Gunners would not only remain in the league, as they would face each other in the semi-finals of the FA Cup. This historic classic would be sealed by none other than Giggs himself in extra time, where he would pick the ball by the halfway line, dribble past all of Arsenal's back line, and shoot with a powerful left-footed shot to send United into the final, which they would eventually win against Newcastle United. But Giggs would not just perform in their domestic competitions. Just 1 week prior to defeating Arsenal, United faced Juventus in the UEFA Champions League's semi-finals for the first leg. After being all over the field that game, crossing, making threading runs, and creating chances, the Welshman broke into the Bianconeri's defense with a beautiful run and scored a late equalizer. After the second leg win, the Red Devils were set in the final against the German giants of Bayern Munich. One of the most dramatic finals of all time. Bayern scored early in the game, and after 90 minutes, it seemed that they would be crowned champions, however. In the 91st minute, after a corner kick clearance, the ball found Giggs outside the box. With a volley that seemed more like a pass, he found Sheringham, who put it in the back of the net. 1 minute later, from another corner kick, United scored again, stunning all of Bayern's players and fans, winning in the most unimaginable way possible. They completed the treble in a remarkable season, doing the unthinkable, something no one could predict. Giggs was one of their best players, being very influential in his team's success along with the other lads from the class of '92. To this day, they are still the only English club to have won a treble. In the early 2000s, Giggs would still be a highly consistent player for the team, and year by year, he would add more medals to his trophy cabinet. But Giggs was not only an elite player, he was also a very influential figure in the 90s and in the 2000s, being a real icon of Manchester. However, despite being an overwhelming winger for the opposition with his pace and agility, Giggs would probably deliver his best season when his speed wasn't the same. In the 2008 to 2009 season, despite being 35, he was still in the starting lineup and was a true gem for that United team that won the Premier League title. Giggs was awarded as the PFA Player of the Season, even though he wasn't operating in the wing like before. He adapted his role to a more central one, and his performances proved that even at that age, even though his speed had declined, his class never left. In total, Giggs would win 13 Premier League titles, 2 UEFA Champions Leagues, 4 FA Cups, 9 Community Shields, 4 English League Cups, 1 UEFA Super Cup, 1 FIFA Club World Cup, and 1 Intercontinental Cup. Giggs is the player with most appearances for the Red Devils, 963, in which he scored 168 goals. In May of 2014, at the age of 40, the last serving man of Fergie's class of '92 decided to hang his boots after an outstanding career, full of accomplishments, and with his name forever written in every heart of a Manchester United fan.